Hey guys, Maggie here. So today's video is Where is Wolf Among Us number 2? So let's get to it, alright you guys? But before I do, if you guys really enjoyed the video, like this video, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to my Hellfire Club, alright you guys? And please check the description down below to follow my social media platforms, like on X, Instagram, blog posts, Pinterest, Discord, and Twitch. And if you guys haven't read the Fables comics, it's definitely relating to Wolf Among Us 1 and 2. And it has a huge, broad, comic book, and it's very big. You can get it in your local Amazon or your comic book store. I think probably Midtown Comics or like any comic book store may have it. If not, then you probably had to order it on Amazon. I'll leave the link in case you guys want to order it yourself, right? So let's discuss about this whole situation with Wolf Among Us number 2, right? So me and everyone else is so excited to see that Wolf Among Us number 2 is coming out, right? But unfortunately, we don't have a release date. The only say was that they're gonna be released by 2025, right? And we don't get a exact month or even a day of why they didn't want to promote it. My speculation is that the reason why it's been delayed because ever since Telltale Games, laid off their workers, and it's the truth, you guys. You guys can see from this information right here, right? That Telltale Games was on the brink of going bankrupt, and even though they had a successful rate with The Walking Dead, with Clementine and the other cast of The Walking Dead, material, it still was not enough to build up any income within the company. So that's why the bosses and the CEO of Telltale Games had to lay off their workers. That includes animators, editors, directors, producers, all the staff. And whenever, they have a big project that's coming up, and that includes Wolf Among Us number 2, that means they gotta lay off these kind of workers. They work hard on these projects, and fans alike, like me and you, are gonna struggle to get these kind of games in our local GameStop or in any video game store that you buy, and this is what's going on, right? And that's my theory, right? But since that Telltale Games made a comeback with this trailer of making Wolf Among Us number 2, it seems that everyone is now excited and they're up in their seats applauding that Wolf Among Us number 2 is going to be happening. But here's the issue, right? My thing is with Telltale Games, right? For them to have a comeback, it's gonna take them like baby steps to have this, comeback of gaining their money and their financial situation settled. Because that means that even though we got a trailer, they still had to hire more animators to do the process of each episode for Wolf Among Us number 2. And the truth is, you guys, when it comes to these studios, it doesn't matter if it's like a movie studio, a TV series, or even a video game, it still takes a while. And what made a huge impact, and I could be wrong, but this is what's happening. It seems that Telltale Games has some kind of connection with SAG. And what I mean is that SAG has been a huge impact within, movie industries through video games to TV series because SAG has this kind of power and will that they want to like sabotage by, ruining the chances of every actor or director or anything relating to the media industry by cutting the budget in half, and they want to like bring in AI involvement, and that's gonna be a problem because when AI takes over, that means they're gonna replace human animators within the industry by making everything digitalized, by computerized, by nanobots and crypto things and everything else. The reason why I know about this because I used to work for a film studio a while back when I was in, I think, in college when I was an intern, and everything is contract based, basically, right? So what I'm saying is that SAG may have something to do with the voice actors, being replaced by AI or some kind of involvement because within the voice acting industry it's a big huge problem because even though that the voice actor who plays Bigby, the voice actress who did Snow White, they are going to come back, but there's no guarantee if everyone from the previous Wolf Among Us number 1 is ever going to return. So we don't know for certain that it's a real, possibility that they will come back. And of course, it all affected by the pandemic and with the money issue, like I said earlier, it depends, right? And again, it just takes time for Telltale Games to like have this huge, progress in working within the industry to gain back on their feet. But other than that, we just see for sure that they will come up with an announced date. But from what I'm seeing, because every time there's a comic convention or even just a separate convention for video games, I'm guessing for PS, PlayStation, or something like that. We don't know for sure they're gonna even have an announced date. But I'm not gonna like jinx anything. Is that what you're thinking, you guys? But I'm just saying for certain that it just takes time because if you guys recall that animation takes a while to design. You should have seen how in Japan that even one panel of anime it takes nearly them for what like a year or more. If you guys can Google it, and I guess can show you the evidence how long it takes animators to make it. It takes a while to get things processed. You know what I mean? Because everything's all coded, everything needs to be precise, and you need to make sure that it's gamers can actually play the actual game. Because if they make one mistake, then they gotta start everything all over again from scratch, and it's a pain in the freaking butt. I'm telling you. You just had to make sure the details correctly, the lips of the characters are moving correctly, and there's no glitches, no bug issue. We gamers, like myself included, right? We know that we don't want any bugs within the game, which we seen with Cyberpunk, right? We saw how it was causing a lot of issues with the bug issue where a lot of people had to like play the game and they couldn't make it or something like that, and the characters were out of line or something, and then all of a sudden people were distorted, and then the company had to do so many freaking patches. I mean, guys, if you know me and you know how long it takes for a simple patch to fix all the games, yeah, it's a pain in the freaking butt. I'm being honest. And again, we just hope to God that they, be able to release, Wolf Among Us number 2, because fans alike, including myself, which I did play the first one, and it's such a classic. You know what I mean? We get to know everyone's backstory. We get to know that Snow White has a sister, and we get to know all these kind of things about Bigby, about his true form, and we get to see all these familiar faces. You know anything? And for right now, we are going to see new characters within the second one, which we probably saw within the trailer. We saw Dorothy Gale, we saw the Lion, we see the Scarecrow or the Tin Man. They're all living with each other, and they have something connecting with some kind of murder or some kind of mystery, something like that. Because Wolf Among Us have always been a successful rate when it comes to like making fans entertained. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about these kind of games. It doesn't had to be based on fairy tale. It's about something that people can interact. That's why it's called an interactive game, where you get to like talk within the characters and you get to like socialize with other people within the game, and that's what's fun about it. You get to like interact with other characters. That's what's fun about it. But overall, I think it's going to take them a long time to even just say what kind of, process or the release date they're going to like have this video game come out, because we already got a trailer. Don't get me wrong, we already did. But, if this is going to take too long, then fans are going to be uncomfortable where they saying they're taking too long. You guys had to be patient, right? I understand that patience is not your forte or your status, but even though I understand where you guys are coming from, you just want games right away, and everything nowadays is getting expensive because not to change the subject, but it seems that every gaming company is raising their prices on video games nowadays. Like Xbox is raising their prices, the PC, PlayStation, now Nintendo, they're all raising their prices basically because of this whole thing where I don't like to speak about politics, but because of the whole situation with the whole tariff situation, which I understand that people are not comfortable by it, but then again, it's like they didn't have to raise the price. They can at least keep it standard, making it reasonable for us fans to like buy their video games. Because look, a lot of local GameStops in my area, I'm just saying hypothetically that it's been going bankrupt as it is. And you guys can, question me about, that your local game store is not closing. But for me, since I live in the local area in my city, a lot of GameStops are now shutting their doors. There's no GameStop whatsoever, just like one or two around my area. and it's hard to find a video game nowadays because everything's online, is everything's on Amazon or eBay, and I'm scared that if I buy an actual game from that place like Amazon, I'm not sure they all gonna like do it properly or how they pack it correctly. I get scared even ordering other things on Amazon. That's why I always like to read reviews ahead of time before I buy things, and that's what everyone should be doing. Because if you buy a video game or even a certain product, you have to read the reviews before you buy it. That's why I suggest. You know what I mean? But I could be wrong. But getting back to Wolf Among Us number two, I'm not gonna give my high hopes that they're gonna announce the date right away because knowing me, I understand that these voice actors are at age right now. I'm not saying they're old. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying my own point of view that voice actors change their way of voicing their character, and they're gonna lose that voice appeal to the character, and that's why I have a gut feeling that if they take too long, then the voice actor won't sound the same. I could be wrong, but at the same time, it's still like they gotta like speed up the process just a little tad bit. Not in a rush. Don't like speed up the drawing like fast, but just try your best to like get your video game, speeding the process a little bit before the actors are at age already. I'm just saying. We just want to make sure the game is out there. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below of my opinion about The Wolf Among Us number two. If you have your thoughts, let me know in the comment section about The Wolf Among Us number two, release date. I'd like to hear your thoughts. And again, you guys, if you guys really enjoyed the video, like this video, share, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to be part of my Hellfire Club, and of course, to follow my social media platforms. Alrighty, guys? So, this is your Hellfire leader, Megan Negan, the Walking Dead Fangirl 20 cents off. See you in the next video. Love you guys. Peace out.